You know what? I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this video. The voice isn't working right now. I can ease... Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer K. And, so this month's ending video was supposed to be something I, wasn't going to be, I didn't want to review because the last time almost ruined me. And I don't know if the voice is going to be keeping me here or not. So, if you excuse me. Let me out of here! Okay. I'm stuck here then. Feels fitting. Okay. It's time for me to go back into the Assassin's Creed game that I like the least. After thinking I finished talking about it to such an extent, years ago when I did the Legacy of the First Blade, I thought I was done. But then the voice reminded me of the second set of 3-part DLCs that they did for Odyssey, the Fate of Atlantis DLC. Well, if it gets me out of here and gets us into the fun videos I have planned for next month, let's do it. So, the DLC for the first episode of the Fate of Atlantis for Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out in April of the year after the game had released. Fields of Elysium. And whereas the Legacy of the First Blade took place after the main story and focused on the very first assassin the very first assassin, and our bout with the Order of Ancients that were as bad as interesting as me watching a Harry Potter movie and mostly enjoying it. I mean, I do like Harry Potter, but if I could watch something else, I would. So, Lila, aka Templar agent who Odyssey gave us, and then we went right into we also had her in Origins, if I remember correctly. Yes. And then finally gave us the Valhalla. So basically, the RPG's main hero storyline. We go back into the Animus, and we find an ancient Isu at a location that talks to either Alexios or Cassandra. Cassandra, because this is canon. And we are told of the Gate of Atlantis, which, after doing a couple small missions around Greece, and not that many of them, thankfully, we play a little bit of modern day stuff with Lila exploring some tombs in order to get certain symbols from each area. that correspond to the symbols that are on a door. We got to do the right ones in the right order. And this opens the giant ass throne room of Atlantis. And then we, also this amazing spirit is inside of Hippocrates, no, not Hippocrates, Pythagoras' staff, the one with the snakes. So, as the main character, we go through the main door for a new amazing story in Elysium, which is basically a part of the underworld where the queen of the underworld and force them to love me while I keep them prisoner, woman Persephone, goddess of the underworld. Yeah, if you know the story, you know how somewhat disheartening it is. As we meet a bunch of characters, and I'm not going to lie, the map of Elysium isn't actually that bad. Like, it's pretty structured. Okay, when I say structured, I mean pretty structured for a forced area scenario. Would it be nice if there was other stuff to do in here that actually, now that I think about it, there are less side missions in this than in any of the other DLCs. Huh. Odd. But the primary focus is of us trying to get to the underworld in order to use the staff to enrich our power or something. I literally just watched a playthrough of it, just the cutscenes, so I can kind of re-educate myself because, like I said, Odyssey is the one game that I put right out of my mind. So, we are met by Persephone, who is the ruler of the land and does not allow the souls to leave or the humans who are in the realm to leave at all. And we seek her help. That fails. And then we work with Hermes, who is her dedicated guide. We also work with Hecate, who's her closest friend and the goddess of witchcraft. We also work with Adonis, who's being kept there because Persephone has I know it's Persephone, but I think Persephone sounds better. Has a thing for Adonis, who we all know has a thing for Aphrodite. And we have to work with him and Hecate and doing a lot of missions of creating a rebellion against Persephone, because if she loses control of her domain, then the others are allowed to leave. While we're also doing some things that dampen her while being manipulated by Hecate to break into Persephone's diary room, poison a bunch of her followers, screw her over, but while feigning ignorance. And because it's something that Odyssey loved to do, is give us certain choices in certain sections that would normally inevitably screw us over, and half of this has no avail to really work with. We get a little bit of time to spend with our ancestor Leonidas, as we're asked to either to recruit him to the rebellion that's uprising against Persephone, or Persephone will ask us to kill him in order to bring back someone that we missed. Yeah. And again, it's basically choose your own adventure with little payoff and consequences. As interesting as this is, the story and the side missions that we do in it, or the missions, feel like we're doing something completely different in this realm of gods. And yeah, I get it that the gods are supposed to be the Isu, and this is all just a simulation of what it looks like, not what it is. And I don't like it. I mean, it's not as bad as us going throughout different spaces in Greece that we've already been to, like in the last DLC story bunch. But at least the atmosphere is a little bit better. I mean, Elysium is very beautiful. It's a very good location to work with. And I just wish in this mythical realm we kind of dealt more with, I don't really know how to describe it. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I'd rather us have something of what Valhalla did, where we played the role of Odin and did side missions in Valhalla with our other gods. And yes, they are the Isu again, but I prefer the myth and the lore and stuff that we did for those and it wasn't DLC. It was a side story that we did while playing as Eivor. And okay, granted, they did the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC that I never did because it wouldn't allow me to play it for some reason or another. But it feels like we're doing more mundane shit in the God realm, and we ended up doing more kind of mystical stuff in the other realm with the monster bosses, or like it just feels like this DLC doesn't have a lot of interesting components to it. And I know I'm babbling on about this, but it's a fact. I mean, I know other people, I mean, again, this is all my opinion about it, but at least it's not painstakingly underdone like the last one was, which is why I ranked them so low. But again, it just feels like we're doing the same mundane stuff all over again with really no sense of this is the magical realm. I mean, if you did everything that we did in this DLC and we took away Elysium and we put us either back in the world of Greece or on a new island or a new section that we weren't in, you couldn't tell the difference. Again, without the magical elements. And it is just as annoying because some of the side stuff, we have to destroy statues, we have to power up our spear. We use these really, really cool teleportation areas that bring us to other sections. And again, it's not that bad. It's kind of like, it's beautiful to look at, but as you start progressing, you realize like there's almost nothing here. I mean, in the cities area, there's a lot of stuff, but in the on the ground floor, there's basically the wild, and there's really, really nothing here, and it sucks. And oh my god, I can only say it sucks in so many different ways before it starts to become repetitive. But I mean, I guess the cool thing about it is that we did get a cool final boss fight with Hermes at the end, and even though he was tossed aside by Persephone, and we didn't really know if he died or not. Because, again, because this is a simulation of the underworld, because they are all the Isu, I don't feel a real connection with anyone. I mean, it's not like in Origins with the Curse of the Pharaohs, when we actually went into a portal of the underworld and we talked with some people who died and we help them get closure or help them with and each realm looked completely different. And in one of them, we did actually have to face off with one of our enemies, which was fantastic. And the stuff there just felt like we were actually doing something mystical. Here, there's really nothing. Because they're people and they're dead souls here. So it's not packed with what you want. And again, of the one side mission and the 21 main missions, it feels like a lot, but when you get right down to it, you do like generic stuff like infiltrate enemy camp locations, kill guards, steal items, be double-crossed by Hecate. And it just feels like there was more here, but it got taken away. Like, I felt like there should have been some side missions for some characters throughout the area that give us an in-depth of how this realm works and how these people want to move on, because Persephone isn't allowing anyone to leave, because if she has to be a prisoner, they have to be a prisoner. So I get the symbolism and I get how they were doing it, but again, there needs to be a reason. There needs to be story and not just us needing to get into the underworld. Like, we're told this right from the get-go, and that's why we try to undermine Persephone. If we had spent a couple missions helping Persephone or doing something that lets us figure out that she knows how to get into the underworld, but she can't because, again, she wants everyone to be a prisoner, I would prefer that over what we have been doing here. So like I said, and there's also this thing of Hermes not trusting us afterwards, and we have to fight him, and Hecate's been using us to undermine Persephone because she wants to take control, but she tries to act like a friend and tries to scour blame onto us. And we have to do this for about 7.5 hours. And I think that's shorter than the previous DLCs. And doing even the side mission and doing all the trophies that are hidden throughout the episode. I mean, I can't really remember a lot of them because they really weren't that interesting. And then at the end, we get Persephone holding the key to the underworld, which is revealed later on that it's her dog Ross's collar, which is an apple of Eden. Oh boy. And then the ending just has us hearing Ross growling, and then 2 extra sets of eyes come out, and yeah, we know where this is going. I can't really discuss a lot about this DLC because as the setup was interesting, the fate of Atlantis doesn't really have a purpose, and the title doesn't even have a purpose in this, except for being the main area with all the thrones around them in the before we get to Elysium. So we choose to go to Elysium because we're told to go there. It's not like something interesting happens that we have to save Atlantis or some reason, or like the fate of Atlantis thing only happens in the 3rd episode. So it doesn't really match the whole DLC, because 2 episodes we're not even in Atlantis. It's barely mentioned. So yeah. Well, at least I can say that I'm perfectly fine having this be done. Gamer K, I mean, again, it's, before I go to my final verdict, I will say, though, that as opposed to the Legacy of the First Blade, at least there's no forced story like continuing the bloodline, which a lot of people got peed off about, which I can believe. So, oh my god. Just talking about Odyssey gives me a big goddamn headache. And I will say it is nicer than the Legacy of the First Blade. I mean, being in Elysium, it's a great location. Could have done more with it. And even though there's no, like, villain that we have to defeat, it still has its moments, but it just feels like a laundry list of shit to do with very little payoff. Yeah, there's little to no payoff. And I was originally going to give this an okay ranking. But after going through it a number of times in my head, I can't in good conscience do this any more justice than it has any right to be. So, Gamer K's final verdict for the DLC review of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, The Fate of Atlantis DLC Episode 1, Fields of Elysium, is a stagnated 6 out of 10. It could have been a great start to something of a mythical proportion, but it feels mundane and basic for the entirety of the DLC. Everything we're doing is either go to this area and break into an area, kill this person, mess things up, and it just doesn't have the impact that it's something great. It feels, again, this feels like a stepping stone that leads to something else. And they just had to do something to pack it full of stuff so you can get through it. And those kinds of games or level designs or DLC, I just can't love. I can't. And that's it for this month, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video because I got 2 more episodes to do, which will be later down the line because I'm not talking about them again this year. And that's a promise. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and join me next time where it's the month of May, which means I will be going over, I'm going over a lot of fun stuff in May. What's first up? What do you mean you don't know? Oh, now you're not going to help me? Okay, fine. I'll look it up myself. Oh, yeah. Join me next week, ladies and gentlemen, where we'll swing into action and put on a top 13 list that I hope you all will enjoy. This is Gamer K, logging out.